my peripheral brain here. Our speaker today is Thorpe.
All right, so I want to talk about the murder of Fanta Bility, who, this story is from November 10th. She was killed at 8 years old, but really, it's a story that I want to, it's two stories really, because it also deals with the effect of what is in a sense a very old punishment of murder by association. Because I want to talk about Fanta Bility, but also about another person implicated, his story in that same city of Philadelphia almost 70 years ago, where he was jailed for murder by association. But so for Fanta Bility, this is from the Philadelphia Inquirer. 2 teens were charged with murder in the police shooting that killed an 8-year-old girl at a high school football game. Angelo Ford and Hussein Strand have been charged with first-degree murder and related offenses. 2 teenagers, who prosecutors say started a gunfight outside a Sharon Hill High School football game that led to the fatal police shooting, I should add, of 8-year-old Fanta Bility in August, have been charged with murder in connection for her death. Angelo A.J. Ford and Hussein Strand, 18, face first-degree murder, aggravated assault, and gun charges in the August 27 shooting, according to Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer. Ford remains in custody, denied bail. It was unclear if he had hired an attorney. Strand had not been arrested as of Wednesday and was being sought by U.S. Marshals, according to prosecutors. Stolzheimer has said that Fanta was struck by a bullet fired by one of 3 Sharon Hill police officers who were monitoring the crowd leaving Academy Park High School after the season-opening football game against Pennsbury. It remains unclear which officer fired the shot that killed her, but all 3 have told investigators they opened fire on a vehicle they mistakenly believed was involved in the shooting between Ford and Strand, which prosecutors said took place about a block from the stadium. Fanta was struck once in the back and pronounced dead at the scene. 3 other people were wounded by the gunfire from the police, including her older sister. The legal basis for charging the two teens, not the officers involved, is very simple, First Assistant District Attorney Tanner Rouse said in a statement. They were attempting to kill one another that night, and as a direct result, a little girl is dead. An investigative grand jury will be impaneled November 18th to begin deciding whether the officers will face criminal charges, according to Stolzheimer. Fanta's shooting has drawn national attention with local protest marches with the activists and state legislatures calling for the officers to be fired and criminally prosecuted. Sharon Hill's Borough Council has hired attorney Callie Hodge to lead an internal investigation into the police department's training policies that will likely begin after the grand jury completes its probe. The Bility family's attorney, Bruce Castor, says that the decision to charge the 2 teens was a gutsy move, but said he believes that it will be difficult to convict them of murder. I want the focus to remain on the Sharon Hill police officers whose negligent and reckless behavior in reacting as they did is what killed Fanta Bility, said Castor, who has sued the offices and the police department. From the point of view of the Bility family, these officers killed Fanta, and they need to be held responsible for that. And their supervision and training needs to be held accountable for that. The killing of Fanta Bility was a tragedy, says Stolzheimer, not just for her family, but the entire Delaware County community. Today's arrests begin the criminal process for those that initiated the deadly events of the August 27 shooting to kill at a high school football game. Still, the pursuit of justice for Fanta demands that the office continue its comprehensive review of the actions of all parties involved in the tragic chains of events. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing exactly, but it's unclear what the argument was about between Ford and Strand, the 2 teens charged with murder by association. Again, for, well, if I want to summarize it, the very strange and mind-boggling details of this case is that essentially 2 guns were discharged between the 2 teenagers, and in responding to these reports of gunshots, these officers mistakenly fired into a vehicle with the bystander, Fanta Bility. Strand allegedly fired in the direction of the three Sharon Hill police officers monitoring the crowd about 140 feet away from the gunfight. The officers returned fire, police said, striking down a vehicle that had been heading down Coat Street towards them. Their bullet struck the vehicle and then went beyond it, striking Fanta, her older sister, and two other people walking near them as they left the stadium, the authorities said. The car, police later learned, had not been involved in the earlier shooting. Castor, who is also representing the car's occupants, has said they were recent alumni of Academy Park where they were there to watch the football game. And it's worth mentioning that, of course, you know, if the prosecution can get away with this, charging these two boys, third party for the police killing of a bystander, the thing is, it has been done before, and this story happened essentially in the 1950s with the only recently released in February Joe Ligon, also in Philadelphia. But so, in a way, not much has changed, because Joe Ligon was charged in the 50s with the same murder by association. Essentially, he did not, I'm trying to summarize here, but he did not even know the names of the people who he was with at the time of this murder in 1953. The 15-year-old was charged with murder, an accusation he's always denied, although he has since accepted in an interview that he stabbed someone who survived and has expressed remorse. The police started giving us statements to sign that implicated me in murder. I didn't murder anybody. Pennsylvania is one of 6 U.S. states where life imprisonment carries no possibility of parole. Ligon faced what he called a degree of guilt hearing, where he admitted to the facts of the case, and the judge found him guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The teenager wasn't in court to hear that he had been given mandatory life without parole. Not unusual, given the sentence was a foregone conclusion at the time. But it meant he went to jail without knowing the full terms of his sentence, and it didn't occur to him to ask anyone. And now, Joe Ligon is 83 years old. He was released in February. So, when we kneel today, I want us to kneel not just for Fanta Bility, killed at 8, but possibly for Angelo Ford and Hussein Strand, teenagers implicated in this crime, and for Joe Ligon, these people who are not allowed to start off their lives. You know, their lives can be taken away without being killed.